was the son of Sam / David Berkowitz. He was born Richard David Falco, June 1st, 1953. He was then adopted by Nathan and Pearl Berkowitz. His adoptive parents told David that his birth mother died during labor. He really carried this and felt like he killed his own mother. He then found out that his birth mother actually was still alive and she just couldn't take care of him. The family lived in a middle-class home in the Bronx. The couple loved their son, yet Berkowitz grew up feeling rejected and scorned because of being adopted. His size and appearance did not help matters. He was larger than most kids his age and not particularly attractive. Quote, his parents were not social people and Berkowitz followed in that path, developing a reputation of being a loner. Sadly, his adopted mother Pearl had a reoccurrence of breast cancer and died in 1967. David was devastated and became severely depressed. He viewed his mother's death as a master plot designed to destroy him. He began to fail in school and spent most of his time alone. When his father remarried in 1971, his new wife did not get along with the young David, and the newlyweds moved to Florida, leaving 18-year-old David behind. David joined the army, and after a disastrous 3 years, he left the service. During that time, he only had one and only one sexual experience with a prostitute, which gave him a very bad disease. When he returned home, this is when he found out that his birth mother was still alive and that he had a sister. There was only a small reunion, but eventually Berkowitz stopped visiting them. His isolation, disease, and paranoid delusions were now at full force. David said that he could hear voices in his head, which he called demons. He said they drove him out onto the streets on Christmas Eve 1975 with a hunting knife to find a victim to kill. He later confessed to plunging his knife into 2 women, one which could not be confirmed. However, he did stab 15-year-old Michelle Foreman. She survived the attack and was treated for 6 knife wounds. David moved out of the Bronx into a 2-family home in Yonkers. It was here where the son of Sam would be created. Howling dogs in the neighborhood kept David from sleeping. In his mind, he turned the howls into messages from the demons that kept him awake. They were ordering him to kill women. He said in an attempt to keep the demons quiet, he began to do what they asked. Moved into an apartment on Pine Street, he failed to escape the controlling demons in his head. His new neighbor, Sam Carr, had a black Labrador named Harvey, who David believed was also possessed. He eventually shot the dog, but that did not offer him relief, because he had come to believe that Sam Carr was possessed by the most powerful demon of them all. This is when his murder spree started. On the 29th of July, 1976, 2 young girls, 18-year-old Donna Loria and 19-year-old Jody Valenti, were sitting in Jody's car outside Donna's home. A few minutes later, after they finished up talking, Donna said goodnight to Jody and was about to open the door when she saw David standing there with a gun. He fired 5 shots. Donna was shot in the neck and arm. She fell out of the car and hit the pavement. Jody screamed as a bullet struck her thigh and she fell forward, hitting the car horn. Sadly, Donna died. However, Jody was able to survive the attack. The next attack was on October 23rd, 1976. Carl De Niro and Rosemary Keenan were shot while sitting in De Niro's parked car. Both survived, but Carl was struck in the head by one of the bullets. During his murders, he wrote multiple letters by the body, which in one of the letters he referred to himself as Son of Sam. This is how his name came about. Allegedly, he picked victims that looked like his adoptive mother, Pearl. His next attack was on November 26, 1976. Another girl named Donna and an 18-year-old girl named Joanne were walking near Joanne's home after a late movie. David followed them briefly, then shot them. Donna survived without suffering permanent physical harm, but Joanne was paralyzed for life. On January 30th, 1977, 26-year-old Christine and her fiancé John were shot as they sat in a parked car. Christine died and John survived the attack. There's quite like a repetition of them being in parked cars. Maybe John just thought it was easier to attack people like this. After it was discovered that the weapon was a .44 Bulldog, the police connected all the attacks, but actually dismissed it because of the different descriptions of the assailant in each attack. On March 8, 1977, just a block away from where Christine and John's attack happened, 19-year-old Virginia was walking home from school when she sidestepped a man to let her pass. Just as she did, he raised a gun to her head, fired, and killing her instantly. They found out the bullets were the same ones that killed Christine. This is when they realized it was the same person doing these attacks. The police decided to finally start a task force, Operation Omega, to catch the .44 killer. Son of Sam, or David, struck again on the 16th of April, 1977. 18-year-old Valentina and her boyfriend, Alexander, who was 20, were sitting in their car. It was not far from where Donna Loria had been killed. Suddenly, the window erupted and 2 bullets struck Valentina in the skull, killing her instantly. The next 2 shots hit the top of Alexander's head. He died 2 hours later. There was a letter left at the crime scene from David, addressed to one of the detectives on the case. However, 8 police officers had already handled the letter. But apparently, even though their fingerprints had been eliminated, it appeared that the killer had only used the tips of his fingers, making the prints unable for a match. The next attack happened on 25th of June 1977 in the Queens area. Sal Lupo, 20, and his girlfriend Judy Placido, who was 17, they had just left the disco and were sitting in their car chatting about Son of Sam, when the Son of Sam actually attacked them. Sal got shot in the wrist, Judy got shot in the neck, and then in the head, but however it did not penetrate her skull, and then the last shot was in her shoulder. They ran to the disco and they both recovered in hospital. The final attack happened on the 31st of July, 1977, in the District of Brooklyn. Stacy and Bobby had just seen a movie. They parked opposite of the playground and softball area under a street lamp. They had decided to have a stroll around the park. When they were walking around the park, they noticed a man, kind of a hippie type, leaning against the wall of a public toilet. Bobby and Stacy headed back to the car. By now, the man had left. They were sitting in their car, talking and kissing for a while, when suddenly David, or Son of Sam, fired 3 shots through their car window. Bobby felt Stacy collapse in his arms, but was unable to see her as the bullets had blinded him. Sadly, Stacy died 38 hours later in hospital. Bobby lost one eye, and he also lost partial vision in the other eye. What caught David out in the end was his compulsion to harass his neighbors with anonymous notes. The most major evidence against him was when an eyewitness saw him with what looked like a gun a few minutes before the shots were fired in his last attack. Her information led to the first police sketch of Berkowitz. More importantly, she reminded investigators that 2 police officers had been writing parking tickets on her street that night. Search of the tickets that had been issued that day eventually turned up with Berkowitz's car. License plate traced back to his address. The police arrested him on August 10th whilst he was leaving his home. He gleefully admitted to being the Son of Sam. He said, "You've caught me. I'm the Son of Sam." On himself was a semi-automatic rifle, and he explained he was on his way to commit another murder. The .44 caliber revolver was also recovered. Berkowitz was given 6 25 years to life sentences for the crimes that he committed, which was the maximum penalty allowed at the time. He has since been denied parole. Since 1987, he has been held at the Civilian Correctional Facility in upstate New York. Thanks so much, guys, for watching. There's so many books and also TV documentaries and stuff if you want to follow up more information on this case. Thanks.